Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the Outsider Insider podcast with your hosts, me and this guy. This guy has cleared up, finally started using some of that big money he's made from all his crypto ventures to buy himself a new video. Just joking, guys. We
Let's
were just
get
figuring
it.
out how to do software better. But yeah, welcome back, guys. There's been a very, very long week. Thank you, my mom. Look at this. We got the whole plate of fruit again, the big fruit. But yeah, Ahmed. So,
Yes.
how's everything
He
been,
still
buddy?
lives with his mother.
Of
I'm just
course,
kidding.
never moving
If
away.
we know the real details, you have several properties, and I think the viewer should understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11, man. Fucking, it's
Jokes
a
aside,
lot.
jokes
Yeah, well,
aside.
no, that's well in an Indian household, it's very traditional to live with your parents, and I don't think I'm ever gonna move my parents out. My relationship, everything is very very solid at my house. I like it this way. It's very good. It's very hands on, and very it's very helpful. So you don't have to cook a lot.
We
You're
have
able to
similar
provide for your
culture too.
family. Hmm?
Yeah, we have similar culture too,
Yeah,
and
I think
I like
yeah,
that.
it's very very Western to move away from your parents. But yeah, but yeah, one of the I think the best keens, and I don't think a lot of people take this consideration is when you help out with expenses. Now I take care of the mortgage of my parents' property, of course, and everything. But what I do find is, especially when you're starting out, not having to pay rent or having to just pay a very fraction of rent compared to what you're going to be paying outside, and using that towards either buying a property, down payment, or investment income. It's a solid play. It's a very something you can very do, and I'm a big advocate of starting work as soon as you can, as young as you can, so you can learn some discipline about money. I'm actually gonna
Yeah.
before we start with
Well
anything,
said.
let me tell you my initial. Do you want to know how I got very good in my opinion on saving? I wasn't.
How?
So when I was, I want to say 17 or 18, what happened was my mom used to go to RBC a lot. And so she's become good friends with all the clerks there. And they're finally like, oh, yeah, your son needs to learn how to handle himself with money. Some of them, my dad and my mom, are like, okay, let's get him a debit card. Let's get him a checkings account so that he can start building his relationship with the bank, right? But my parents did not want him to give me a credit card because they're like, oh, I don't want to teach this guy how to get a credit card debt and pretty much blah, blah, blah. Okay. So
Yeah.
they got me a checking account. They gave me a debit card. They put $400 in as emergency money. Okay, they're like, oh, if you ever want to go eat like one little thing or this little thing, you can eat it. And so I'll tell you what I did. I didn't understand honestly how money was. So every single day I'd go, and me and my buddies, none of them have money. I don't have money. We none of them have a job yet, and so we would go to the the pretty much the food court, and I would just pay for everybody. So it's like 16, $20 a day worth of poutine and whatever we could eat, right? Whatever was gluten free, because obviously I can't eat gluten. And because I never eat out, especially as kids, we very like it would be once a month we'd get like a Whopper from like Burger King. That was like our food that we used to eat, right? Until obviously I got gluten, and then we didn't eat out at all. Very little pizza, very little anything. And so I was just enjoying it every single day, right? And it got to the point where I was like, uh, I was like, is it a good idea for me to keep doing it? Because after like a month, you're like, oh, the money must be coming low pretty soon, right? And what I knew was that the checkings, balances, and everything was going to come to my house. I was going to get the statement. And so then one day, finally, after countless, I would say, weeks to months of me just hoping and praying that it doesn't decline, it declined. It declined when out a mall with this buddy of mine, and then she had to pay for the food. And man,
Oh,
I was like, it was done because I knew at that moment, as soon as my parents see the statement, all right, that's what's gonna happen. Beat like hell,
crunch time.
exactly, and
Crunch time.
that's exactly what happened. So my parents saw the statement, beat my ass, and then they put $1,000 in, and they said, if we see you doing this stupid shit again, we're gonna beat you up even more. Guess what I did? I learned the true value of money that day, and then I had a checking account with this money sitting inside and never touched it again. And that's how I learned. So I think it's very good for you to learn the lessons early on, and that's exactly how I learned my lesson. And then using that, then we eventually got to where we were at. But yeah, very interesting story.
I like what you shared. I definitely think that like how family interacts with money, you either pick it up or if you have someone who's very very fortunate enough to be very literate in finance to be your parent probably taught you a lot of stuff. That's what I'm saying. And I really think that this is a good topic for us to unpack because I've watched a lot of
There's
videos
this
on this.
weird.
And
I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there's a very weird sound coming from your side when you're speaking. It's very very weird. Is there any like
is it like
construction
a
there?
spinning fan?
I'm not too sure. I hear it. It's like click 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 click. I'm just wondering for the viewership, but if you can see it. or
Let's see
here.
here.
Sorry.
Just a second.
Yeah,
Is
now
it
it's gone.
gone?
It's gone.
Yeah. All right. I just turned off fan. Uh, but back to unpacking what we've seen, what I've seen on my feed, and um, there's this situation where you guys coordinate as a family to benefit each other, and instead of going to the bank to get money, you guys go to each other, and you set up all sorts of um, like structures, like someone will finance this, someone will finance that. I think that within like the game theory philosophy, leveraging either your own tools and someone else's tools to get a magnified result is kind of what I'm talking about. In America, I saw this I listened to this podcast about this family in America, and they're basically they're almost like their own bank, and they ensure that the bank doesn't kind of scalp them for ridiculous you know what I mean, like the interest payments over a long period of time, like how you mentioned, like as you're buying over the week, you're just waiting for that check to come in, and you learn from that, you understood that you don't want to have this looming time constraint kind of thing where you're spending money to only see the consequences later. You want to
Very
be
fair.
strategizing.
And very, very true, man. And I think lessons like that. It's just a funny story that I have that I always like to bring up and wonder. I'm like, yeah, my first touch with money was like that. But, I think a lot of people don't never get out of that phase where they just, if they, especially if they have credit, they just keep utilizing because right, it's like, oh, you don't need to worry about this when you can't use it anymore. But yeah, it's very interesting. But let's get to the topics on hand today. Firstly, our boy Trump might be walking back some of his tariffs. I don't know if you saw, but it looks like the price of food inflation has gone pretty high. That high enough where your boy Trump had to declare some tariff relief on some stuff. If I'm incorrect, if I'm correct with what I'm saying, it's coffee, a few other items. None of them directly from Canada. So it looks like a lot of some other companies will get a little bit of tariff relief from there. But it looks like beef and everything. Food wise in general is getting up, and it was only a matter of time. Uh,
That's
he
horrible. Yeah,
yeah
like
he mentioned a couple of times that he goes back and forth with the tone, and again that's kind of just how Trump is, from saying that, hey, there is no inflation versus or no cost inflation of putting tariffs, and then sometimes says there's a little bit of it's the truth is, if you raise the cost to do anything, something will have an equal effect. Now, a lot of the time,
yeah,
these tariff issues were not being shown because a lot of the companies were trying to eat it. So they were eating it. So you saw companies directly just trying to eat that margin so that they didn't have to consistently keep raising the price on food. Because I don't think people understand,
mm,
but in food, like even here in Canada, a lot of people complain that like Superstore, which is one of the big brands here, that they price gouge. And I will never
I
say that
agree. I agree with that.
yeah, you agree that they price gouge?
During during COVID, they
Yes.
did that very, very
Yeah. Okay. So
effectively.
so
Worked in their interest, and the people's
so I
interest.
can say that 100%. There are
Yeah.
if corporations are allowed to get, there's a reason why the regulations is because a lot of corporations in the past have tried to finagle the market and tried to push through aspects. But I do want people to understand that price of groceries. I think a lot of people inflate it to that the president of that company in particular got a crazy pay raise while the cost of groceries just kept going up, and obviously minimum wage and wage for their employees didn't. And so I think that's a separate issue, but in the
Mm.
food industry, I hope people know that there's only a couple percentage of margin. Food is very, very tricky business, and that's the reason why a lot of people don't succeed in any
It's
food
a
related
smaller
endeavor.
margin compared
It's
to other.
super
That's what you're
small. It's
highlighting.
it's sub ten
What
percent,
do you
right?
know the numbers? Sub 10. Wow.
Yeah. So
So
it's not a lot.
you're telling me that when you put an investment down to on food, it's really a
Well,
horrible
I like to
ROI.
put it like this.
Not like
One
the
of the
time that it comes
biggest
back is really
brands, yeah,
slow.
one of the biggest brands in the world is Walmart. Can you agree with that?
Yeah.
Do you know how much
Yeah. Yeah.
money Walmart
Understand.
makes a year and how much they keep? They're not even anymore
What's
one
that
of the
margin?
biggest
Yeah,
business.
what's yeah,
Let's
open up
search.
the idea of
Yeah.
margins and stuff. That's interesting. Sub 10%. Do you think Walmart kind of exceeds the 10% or no?
Well, Walmart isn't just a food business anymore, right? So, listen, their operating profit margin net, okay, their gross margin is 24.9%. And you're like, oh, that's a lot. Their net margin is 2.85%.
That is a very low number.
That is
Um,
ridiculous. Highest it is 4.3. But what I'm trying to say with that is, so a lot of people are quick to say, "Oh, this is only because of
that
this,
makes
this,
no sense.
this," but they don't look at the macro picture, right? And so a place, yeah,
Outsider perspective, brother.
uh,
The 2% seems like a very, very low percentage to be operating on.
yeah,
Because if you were to understand probability and things hitting the fan, you tell me basically one truck doesn't show up on time, done.
yes. But here's what I want to say to this.
Wow, wow, that's no way. There's nothing.
The profit margin is that small. The thing that people don't realize is, let me ask you, what if food spoils? Food spoils. What do you think about stealing? How much do you think people do theft from Walmart? It's a huge percentage. Huge percentage.
Yeah, yeah.
Walmart rakes in so much money, but their profit margin is very little because they try to be the cheapest out of the products. But they also remember having a front face store is a very difficult venture. So anytime somebody sees businesses, especially when they're in food, it's not a lot of
Yeah.
profit margin. It's very, very little. That's why it's only a matter of time until inflation hits the product because they have to make a margin somehow. And but this is also their small margin is also the reason why Walmart is such a big brand. Do you know the PE ratio, the price to earnings ratio? We've spoken about this before. On Walmart, is
Yeah.
higher than Nvidia, so it actually is way more expensive because Walmart per share is more expensive than what it's actually intrinsically worth. But the reason why is Walmart is such an established business where they have been operating on such tiny margins, but because their scale is so big, they have because they still make multiple hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Like they make so much money. And so you have to
How's
remember,
that?
I know you did
How's
this.
that on 2%? I mean, is there logic in the sense that they're growing at a certain rate? I mean,
Let,
let's say you go to write taxes,
let
and one
me
of the ways that people do a form of tax evasion, but you could say legal tax evasion,
no,
is
not with
they
businesses such as this
spend.
because it is a publicly traded company, right? So you can finagle the numbers as much as you want, but with publicly traded companies, all your reports have to be seen, they have to be studied.
I'm just saying that like there's a capital preservation method, right? You make $1 million in Canada, you get taxed on 50% of it or something, or um, and so one way you could fit that into your equity without paying taxes is going into debt to grow
Bro, this
infrastructure.
is I just want to say
Like,
this, okay?
does that make sense?
I just want to say this.
Explain this, please. Explain this.
Walmart
Is that a good
Walmart
idea? Bad idea?
Walmart in 2024 made $648 billion. That's their gross. They only kept $15.5 billion.
So if you watch McDonald's the movie on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to ask you here, because I'm honestly want to see what your opinion is. McDonald's was a real estate company,
Yes,
from what I've seen on
it
Netflix,
is still a
and
real estate
so
company. They
the
just have a business on
margins
it.
are not. Yeah, so like, are the margins similar to that?
Well,
Is the value proposition different? Like, I don't find 2% to be very compelling, and if you were to screw up the tiniest thing, it would blow up. In
so
my opinion, there's too much.
there's something you have to understand. Firstly, let's go over criteria.
Yeah,
There's in financial markets. There's certain margins that have to be kept. Right, for a company in the
yeah.
financial space to look nice, it has to look certain. In construction, there's certain profits. In tiles, there's certain profits. In construction, in TV and electronics, in food and beverage, it is commonly known that it's sub 10%. A lot of people don't do their research on this. Now, but the reason again why you're mentioning is with such a low profit margin, like, is it even a good idea to invest in Walmart? The thing is still yes. Name me one other company making $648 billion a year. That
Mm,
I'm
mhm.
telling you, uh, very little companies. This is one of the most like in total gross income makes some of the most amount of money. But you got to think about how big Walmart is as a brand. Their profit margin is literally slim to none. So for a business like this to keep its operating profit, because it actually in 2024 it went up 6%. But not 6% in total, but I mean 6% from 2%. So it's like 2.6% now in total profit margin. The margin is not amazing, but it's a very, very viable business because it's been doing this for how long? When did Walmart come out in existence? But it's been doing this for decades. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's a
yes.
very well established brand. People know what Walmart is. You can literally go anywhere in the world that people know what a Walmart is. It's not a business that you're not going to find everywhere. It's like Costco. The reason why Costco is so because Costco is a stock as well. But Costco, they literally lose money in some of their food products, as you've probably heard of the rotisserie chicken. They
Hot
lose
dog,
money.
hot
Yeah,
dog,
exactly. But why do
yeah,
they lose
yeah.
it? So you get a Costco membership. The Costco membership is their number one selling product because you have to have it, and it's their number one selling product because it is literally instant money. Excuse me, that you're getting right away. But a lot of businesses, I don't think a lot of people realize how short margins are. Also, like one other, while we're on this case as well, because I just wanted to establish people, because I hear a lot of people saying price gouging, price gouging, price gouging, and like you understand that in a CEO's position, they will get paid a lot of money. Is it fair? Is it not fair? I'm not here to debate that portion, right? But because profit sharing is different per each company, right? But any
That's
company that's
exactly what I was
publicly
gonna
traded is going
ask.
to be
Yeah.
looking at their shareholder value. They're not looking at the person working there. It's their shareholder value. Me and you have already spoken on behalf that what happens after every company does a layoff, their stock price goes up,
Mhm.
right? And it's a
Yeah, we did
complete
in the
exactly.
last podcast. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the people need to understand this. Like this, but like with you know, with there was this really good video I watched. This was years ago. But do you know? Have you noticed that every single airplane company, they don't stay an airplane company. They become a bank. Have you noticed that Air Canada promotes credit cards more than they do promote flights? Or what about WestJet?
Yeah, I've
Is
seen
WestJet not coming out
companies.
with credit cards like crazy?
Nvidia starts to ask, help people get loans and so on. It's almost like they become a bank.
Exactly, but in the airline business as well, the profit margins are
Yeah,
so slim.
airlines.
Yeah, they're so slim. So that's another company where the way that a lot of them make money is through their loyalty program and through credit cards. So every airline, I'm even talking about Flair, like companies that are so small now, literally become banks so that you're able to use their credit card. They're able to make a margin of money from that portion because they make money, going with Mastercard or Visa, however they
Quick
structure the.
question. Quick question. So
Answer. Go
we
ahead.
understand how sometimes private equity acquires businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and what they do is they basically use a bunch of loopholes and they put debt on the business, basically make it go bankrupt, and somehow they extract value
Uh-huh.
when they do that. Is this a similar setup where it's not taken all the way to bankruptcy, but there's an operational minimum of 2%? What I mean by that is like,
I know what you're
are there
saying.
executives within
Are
the
they
company?
able to like make the number look lower than it is? I would say no. I'll tell you why. You know, so in Walmart, in let's just keep speaking about Walmart. Walmart has a duty for its CEO and the board of directors to provide value to shareholders, right? You and me can go check the entire financial physical report of Walmart. So we see where the numbers are, how much they spent on this, how much they spent on this. You can see
What-
every
yeah,
breakdown.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
the
So like
SEC by
the
itself,
highest the owner, the person that's the CEO and
uh-huh.
founder, how much money does he reap out of the company?
So there's no minimum or maximum set for value. Like for example, Elon
You know what I'm
Musk just
saying,
got
right? You
approved for
understand?
for a
So
trillion. Yeah.
let's say the profit's 200 billion, right?
Hmm.
Or 100 billion for math purposes. And 99 billion goes into the CEO's pocket. The 1 billion is represented as the profits.
But
Is that a possibility?
no, that's not because you're forgetting that CEO doesn't own the company. They it's a job. It's not a position. The people who decide the CEO's money is a
The,
show.
the Walmart's owners are making ridiculous, like
The
their net
Walmart
worths are
owners
amazing.
are me and you. Do you know the Walmart CEO owns very little
Oh,
of Walmart. They do not own a big
I
portion
see.
of Walmart. Like
I
here's the
see.
question.
Okay.
Here's the question. Here's the question I have.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package was not approved by him. He is by far the one of the biggest shareholders of Tesla. But it wasn't up to him. It was up to who? The shareholders of the value. I actually got a vote as a Tesla holder. I got a chance to
Mhm.
vote if I in favor of his pay package or not. When you buy stocks, especially in companies, you get a lot of
Yeah,
mail in. Exactly.
you get voting rights. Yeah.
Exactly. I have a lot of mail in front of me, so I know I have some. So if I can show some of the voting rights that I have, I'd love to show it. But pretty much,
Mhm.
you get to if you sit in there thing, you get to make your decisions on how you want the company to proceed. People saying, "Oh, this person got a $15 million raise." They did if they hit the criteria that they were supposed to reach for the business. They hit it, but like, there's always ways to finagle. Like you're not gonna say, "Oh, Enron," like companies like this don't make huge lies, but the SEC also goes after them. That's the reason why they're built to make sure that the business is running in fair values and also making sure they're doing the right thing. Because if they're not, you know what happens? They get hit with fine after fine. One way to think about
Securities and
this,
Exchange
yeah,
Commission
think about
is
like another way to think
it's
about this
intended to
is,
protect the consumer.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
Do
that.
you know
You
Cat?
mentioned
Do you
that.
know Cat, the construction company?
Yeah.
Okay, so was it Cat? So there was a company, I'm gonna tell you, really big company. No, not Cat. It's this company that has three numbers. EEE
Mm.
333 maybe. what
Is
it's
it a
like
construction based
it's a
company?
construction company. It's a really really big
But they
construction
sell
company.
like drills and like forklifts and whatever.
Everything. 3 a.m.
No,
3 mm. So do you know 3 a.m.?
broadcaster.
No. Do you know 3 not 3 a.m.
Never
What's
heard. Never
MMM
heard of them.
stock? What's the? I'm having such a big brain for it, but I love this company. I own so much shares of it. I'm not. I can't pull up my banking details right now, but
Yeah.
okay,
So it's okay. Just reiterate. Let the
okay.
viewer understand what you're
So
trying to
this is the
express.
company. I'm going to tell you what
Company
happened.
name,
This
construction
company
company.
is literally one of the biggest companies in the entire field. So when it comes to anything like supply boxes and supplies, this is the biggest
They're
company in the
involved.
world. But literally,
Yeah.
they're behemoths. So they own a lot of stuff, but pretty much they bought another company that had faulty earplugs, so that it made a lot of people, especially in the military, go deaf. I know it's that's crazy, right? Do you know what happened? They sued at three, and I think it was 3 mm. I'm trying to figure out what the stock name is. But
It's okay,
yes,
but these two companies, one is suing the other, and is it the larger company suing the smaller company, or the
no,
smaller company suing the
it's the
larger company?
SEC. There 3M. So it's 3M Co. If you do you know anything about the company? Can you? I'm sure you have their products
No.
at your house. If you go search, you'll have the products at their house. But I'm gonna tell you, okay, something about this company.
What's the I have like drills and stuff like that
So
possibly.
it's not just drills; it's like supply boxes. They own a bunch of everything, bro. I'm just telling you. Just
Yeah,
search up 3M after
yeah.
this. You'll see them.
I don't doubt that I have
So
something. Yeah.
3M, they're in every field, bro. They're in every field of safety, every field. And so pretty much the faulty headphones were not even created by this company, but because they acquired the company that had them before they acquired them, guess what happened? They got massively sued, and their stock has had a killing. I'm talking about destruction. All right. If you go check 3M stock,
Interesting.
their stock until 2018 was selling for 201 USD. Okay, their lowest that they got was less than 70 USD because, and I'm telling you about the profit in this company is fantastic. Their market cap is over $90 billion. They make a lot
Wow.
of
So
money, a lot,
they've seen a huge reduction in
huge reduction.
stock value. It's
Now
not a
it's yeah,
reflection of intrinsic value, though. You're
exactly
suggesting that
because
market manipulation, or
yeah, it's because they were getting sued like crazy. They had to give a lot of money in
was that
settlement cases.
I bet you it was publicized, and as a result of mass news,
Exactly.
there was a
So,
mass
but
news.
what I'm
I
saying
see.
is, no matter even if the company's big or small, now it's at 167, so it got up, and I've been buying this company all the way up. But I'm
From
telling you,
70.
yeah, I'm telling you,
Nice, nice.
yeah,
So real value is
it's
getting
different. Yeah,
under.
because I'm
Yeah, I
very
see.
certain they're not gonna let the company die because the company is so good at
3
what it
a.m.
does.
code.
It's called
Three, and
three
you
M
think
3M. It's called MMM.
prior
That's
to
the
this
stock
being
name is
shared,
MMM.
it's still undervalued,
I
essentially,
still
because it
believe
was.
so. As long as
Yeah,
they can still meet, like, because they have to do a lot of payouts. I'm talking about multiple billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of
yeah.
dollars in payouts of fees that they're having. It's messed how much they have to pay. But I understand because it was a faulty device. But what I'm saying is,
So
even big com-
Warren Buffett would look at this and he'd say, "What's the cash flow? How much debt is owed? What's the actual profit? What's the value?"
exactly.
Would you say, using his template
Mhm.
of looking at stocks, value buying? Do you think that the viewer would value investing a little into this as much as they can afford? No financial advice, but this is quite interesting. I think that I find this valuable,
The
and so
PE ratio for that company is still almost like 25%, 25. So like it's 25 times how much it makes, right? Per each one stock.
yeah,
And so I honestly, Warren Buffett, I don't think would be too much into this guy. I think it'd be too risky. He is a very agile investor. He likes the safe route. I don't know if he owns Walmart. I believe he does. But again, I could be confused about that. But if you buy the S&P 500, it's Walmart.
I
But
heard
it's
on Lululemon, a bunch of
yeah,
other
but
S&P
all I'm
things.
saying is if you can manipulate stock, yes, right? But as a CEO position, there is a lot of headline. Like I'm not gonna say that nobody does. I'm not gonna say it because it's true that they do. Like even right now, a lot of people are using accelerated depreciation and stuff, so it makes it look like their balance books are better and better and better. But from a business like Walmart that's so established that literally billions of people have their eyes on, I think it's very unlikely that they're going to do something so fraudulent that nobody's going to be able to catch it. When was the
Yeah,
last time, other outside of, oh, this person got this much $1 million raise when other people didn't get a raise in the business, do you hear? You don't hear because again,
never.
their purpose is not for the workers.
SEC.
The workers are there for the shareholders, and so it go the opposite way. I'm not saying that's right. Again, don't get
Instead,
upset with me, right, guys?
no, no,
I'm
no.
just trying to
What
explain
what?
how it works because I hate general
Yeah,
factation where
yeah.
people say this is like this because it's greed. I'm like, no, there's a lot of things that come to from greed as well. Not going to deny that, but you can't just say put everything in a blanket slate. Let's take an overall look at the business, right? We also have to understand one
We
thing.
need to look at everything
Yeah,
comprehensively, right? It's
it-
not fair to just suggest it's greed, but within private equity, these kind of tactics that are looked down upon when you really understand what they are, they kind of show some negligence. It's like there's certain areas in which the rich actually get away with
but
stuff that you would
yeah,
be
but
surprised.
private equity is
We're
interesting,
not
right?
all the time.
Because do you know how private? Because the way private equity makes money is if because there's private equity where they buy just for the price to go up, right? But there's private
Yeah,
equity where they buy enough stock where they literally replace it. So let's just say, for example, they think, oh, this company is very, very bad and bad managed. So we think that the price of the stock is really bad because management, not that the stock gets, not the company is bad itself. They buy it
yeah,
so they can replace all the board members and put it with some people who
mm,
are competent in what they're doing. An idea of this is like the Chipotle CEO. Look at Chipotle stock before the CEO, who he left now, but he literally
yeah.
raised it from the dead and made it the most profitable food brand because of what he did. And now he's at Starbucks. They literally headhunted him. You know, they made a deal with him, Starbucks, and this was after private equity got into Starbucks. They made a deal with him
And
that they will give him one of Starbucks's personal planes to pick it because he didn't want to relocate to pick him up to was it once a week from where he living to
if you
the
can't
CEO base.
beat them,
Exactly, because
interesting.
that's how much they headhunted him. That's how much they wanted him. But do you know what happened
So just
with
to
the?
reiterate what you said,
Mhm.
if you can't beat them, join them.
Oh, yeah, well, that's Starbucks. You know, Starbucks after announcing that they got rid of the old CEO and put this guy in charge, went up by 25% one day.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
wow.
that's how badly the other guy was. The other guy was destroying the stock market. Well, that's personal stock, right? So yeah, there's so many ways around this. Never gonna say it's not fully
Dominating
greed.
that field. Right?
Yeah,
The thing is, Chipotle and Starbucks, they're kind of in this competition, kind of not, right? But they're within the same sphere, and that's what you're trying to suggest to the viewer that this guy was such a dominant force that they're willing to
and
kind of
you want to
bend
know how
over.
he was
Give
dominant?
him an
He made sizes smaller. He did a bunch of stuff that's anti because again, it's profit margin. They're still working with minimum profit. Food that's why like food industry is not something I'm personally trying to get into. But I can tell you people because I have friends who own Papa
things
John's
you're,
Pizza.
you're
I have
suggesting that a small margin, and so reducing a small percentage of size is the margin.
Yeah, and then also
Is
like yeah, do you know also like I have buddies
it
who
like
own Papa
Walmart?
John's
Oh,
Pizza.
sorry.
I have people who own
Is,
Domino's. I
is
have
it?
a buddy who owns Red Swan. But if you ask me how much
Yeah.
profit margin they're making, not a lot. It's very little. People will be very surprised. But with food industry, and the reason why McDonald's is so profitable, like people
Yes.
really want McDonald's because it's such high. It's such a high volume business that you still make money, just like Walmart.
You're really relying upon a. It's either let's give it an example. It's either if you want to get rich, you want to sell a $1 million product once, or a dollar product a million times. You end up with the same number. So what you're suggesting, Rap, is that it's made so cheap that they're going down the road of $1 a million times. But they're doing it. They're playing with the vectors so that like you've ever seen like the soccer players where there's like a little diamond attack. Uh, basically, within that value hierarchy, if you were judging McDonald's compared to another company, they're really going down sharp within one sphere. They're really sharp on cutting those costs down. They get their potatoes from like the poorest place in the world,
You
and they
know,
do it
Bill
with the most
Ackman.
fraudulent possible way
I'm gonna
possible.
bring up two things, okay? So because we were talking about PE as well, Bill Ackman bought. I might have the corporations mixed up, but they bought, I believe it was A&W, okay, and they bought
Yeah.
A&W because A&W also owned Tim Hortons at the time. So Tim Hortons, a big brand in Canada, they owned it
Oh,
both. And when they bought it. Let's just say, for example, $4 billion, right? The reason why they bought it is they realized that nobody was considering the valuation of Tim Hortons in the A&W valuation. So right away, Bill Ackman, he saw this and he's like, interesting. If I buy this and I split it into two different companies, I technically just got another $4 billion company because that company makes a lot of money too. That's by itself, and that's exactly what
acquisition.
he did. Usually, that's what
Unpack that. Yeah,
that's
please.
exactly. So that's what private equity does. They like to see stuff. Now, another thing private equity does, because it's not always fixing a business. Let's just say they find a business that's struggling, that's willing to sell
Yeah.
cheaper than what it's meant for. And then
It's those are the ones I'm talking about. Yeah.
yeah, and then this is what they do. They like to break it apart. So let's just say, for example, they look at all their assets. They're like, oh, this is how much real estate it owns. This is how much this it owns. This is how much this. So they're like, okay, let's sell off real estate. Let's sell off this. Let's sell off this. And they pretty much just think of like a car. If you have a useless car, you can still sell it for parts, and that's what they do with the business. And that's how they try to make their profit margin. But like
So basically, there's businesses that have self-liquidating debt. They're in good cash flow situations. Whereas I'm just reiterating, they're in a state where they're eating away their capital. So
yeah,
what is the private equity? And they're not progressing, right? They're not liquidating their debt. They're creating more debt as time progresses. So what they do is they sell all the liquid assets so that they stop the trend from going down,
yeah.
and they try and go bankrupt on certain
Yeah,
certain
and
ends.
again, I'm not gonna like put a blanket over every company because some food
This is just
company
like
has higher profits than others, right? Because some obviously like if you
yeah,
go to, like there's literally companies here that literally charge you $100 for a steak. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but they're different vibes. When we're talking about a Walmart or more of like a smaller rental, like a big chain brand, we're talking about something that is operating on margins like this. But people don't want to
yeah.
speak about the margins. But I'm gonna name one other thing that's very important. Private equity, because the reason why I like private equity a lot, and I recently, about it's been half a year, I became pretty much what's the investor called? An acquired investor? No, it's
Partner,
not.
you're a partner,
No, not partner, but it's the
accredited
accredited
investor.
investor. And so I was able to buy private equity portions of companies, and so I got to look at SpaceX stock and stuff like that. But I'll tell you something. The only reason I got really into this portion is because of Tony Robinson. Now, people don't know it. Toby Robinson is a billionaire. Do you know Toby Robinson? You know him for speaking, but you don't know that it's
Tony Robbins or Tony Robinson?
Tony Robbins.
He's a very deep voice,
Yes,
and
yes,
he's
that's
like,
guy.
"Hey guys,
Sexy as
welcome to the
fuck. All
island."
right, pretty much top
Yeah, yeah,
tier male. Okay, but man, I obviously was listening to him. I was seeing clips about it. But like every entrepreneur that I saw had something to do where they would always speak about how good, like speaking to him was right. He was very good at getting to the core of issues. But man, the dude is very, very good at motivation and discipline. But a lot of people don't know about his books. As I read all of his books, and there's one book in particular. It's called The
yeah,
Holy Grail of Investing, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Amit, you read this
yeah.
too. But in this, he goes into how he started his private equity journey, and a lot of people don't realize. But the S&P 500, and this is why a lot of people say it's unfair. But the S&P 500 makes average of 11%, not including inflation. But do you want to know how much PE makes? It's between 22 to 33% every single year is how much it's averaged.
Wow, that's like
Yeah,
Berkshire Hathaway, 33%.
exactly. And so private equity has a lot higher profit margins than S&P 500 does. And it makes sense because who gets to reap the
So
rewards
what he
as soon
talks
as a
about in the
company
book
gets public?
is private equity.
Yes, in Holy
He
Grail
said,
Investing, he talks exclusively about private equity. And again, don't forget, Toby Robinson is a billionaire. He is a billionaire, extraordinarily
yeah,
rich. And but he made a
yeah,
lot of income, and he was able to because of all the people that he knew. He was able to get a private equity. But I like people don't understand the number one way to make money. I'll literally tell you this is buy a company, hold it until it IPOs. Now, obviously, it's hard to find out which one's going to IPO, but you'll usually 10 to 20 extra money if you're able to get in at the right time, right? Like people can only like how many times I hear that some really good angel investors missed out on Uber, and it's their biggest regret in their entire life. I would be too. I would be too. Your $2,000 could have turned into fucking $20 million. It's insane.
exactly. Yeah, the numbers on even coin listings in crypto are similar. Right before they get listed, they go boom, boom, boom. Trump coin's an example. Melania coin's an example, and these are not even genuine value propositions. They're just fucking. There's no
Coins.
cash flow. It's just a coin, and Trump's name's on it. Wow.
Yeah, but it's interesting, right? So yeah, I really hope the consumer does two things with this video. All right, you too, Ahmed, is truly next time you hear the narrative why somebody's upset about this business, actually do the research and understand what. I understand people don't like that CEOs are paid this much money. But I'll tell you
Mhm.
something. Shareholders really love CEOs. I rather have Elon Musk running my business than me or
Yeah.
Ahmed. I'll just tell you that straight up. So you have to pay for what you're going to get, right? Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. That you only see that over 5 to 10 years on what the stock value is going to do, okay? So don't be upset generically with this. Do what's right for you and buy what's good for you, right? But second thing is this. Please read Holy Grail of Investing. It is probably my top 5 favorite book of all time. Ahmed, trust
I
me.
started that book. I started that book. Listened to a summary, like
Don't
literally,
listen to a
like 10
summary.
years ago,
Listen to the whole
9
thing.
years ago. Yeah, yeah. I listened. I have Tony Robbins' book in my Audible, and I have listened. He's the thing is, um, for me to discern whether or not he's a really good author or not. I think he's great because obviously the consensus has rated him very high. He's well known for dropping bars in his books, like gold bars. But I have to, for me to give you my genuine opinion, I'd have to reread his stuff. The problem is, some people, like, I don't want to call out Jack Ma,
Mm-hmm.
but they're so good at being leaders from the charismatic side and not really the logical.
And he's referring to Alibaba, by the way, the Chinese Jack Ma.
Yeah, so he's one time he came up on like a little show. He was on a stage with Elon Musk, and he said the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I remember this.
I
This was a
know.
while ago. And Elon Musk just kind of pivoted the conversation, like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
And sometimes you start to question how the fuck he got into that
But
position.
again,
It's
it's a
I
very
mean,
good fact. But
there has to be
what?
a
How has
threshold at which
Alibaba? But but Alibaba's not in the like. It's very like Alibaba recently got into AI, and you ask yourself if Amazon randomly got into AI, what the hell? Like Amazon data centers make sense, their AWS makes sense, but what does
Amazon
Alibaba
Web
have?
Services
Exactly.
turns off.
But
I
what?
was just kidding.
But what does Alibaba have, right? So sometimes they do it, but you got to look at the actual position of the business. Because of him, the business did performing well. But one thing I have to mention, I don't trust Chinese facts. Not because I hate the Chinese companies. I actually am invested in those emerging ETFs. But the government, yeah,
Sorry,
but
that sounds.
yeah, I know. But the thing is, it's very skewed. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard
Yeah,
to
no,
get
no,
real
I
data.
understand what you're saying. 'Cause
It's real hard to get
I
real data from there.
don't get me wrong. I'm not laughing in a bad way. I'm
Yeah,
laughing with ref,
yeah, yeah.
not at ref.
But
I'll
so
clarify this.
yeah, in China,
I
it's
saw, and I personally invested in that. I wish I never did. There was an LCD company that was worth like $100, and I had some, and it went dropped down to like 30 cents. And it was based out of China, and they put out a bunch of facts about the revolutionizing the LCD screen. So Rav, more in the right. That I don't mean to. No, I'm
because
not laughing. This is
even Warren
true.
Buffett, like
This
he
is
put like,
true.
but like here's the thing I've noticed in China, the businesses that perform really well are the ones that the government really highly funds. Right? It's like in USA, if the USA was giving unlimited money to Tesla, which isn't happening, right? But in the USA, I like to see that there's more transparency with businesses. In China, I just can't trust the facts coming out. You would never know if this is happening or this is happening or how China
It's
is choosing
simply
to deal
a
with this.
fact.
Exactly.
It's simply
And
a fact.
imagine
It's not biased.
and
It's
imagine
not that
you
you're
invest your
hating.
money,
No, you're
and
not.
then China's government gives another company that's the exact same as it $100 billion. You literally
That's
chose the wrong thing, not because of the innovation or the people behind it, but because the
we
government
have
chose that this is right versus wrong.
China's communist, right? What would okay? So China's communist and America's capitalist, right? Two different ethoses of operating
I don't think
countries.
fully communist. I think China is very capitalist, but
Stop,
they're very
semi.
government capitalist.
Yeah, but they're more leaning towards, if you contrast U.S. versus China. China's leaning more on the
They
communism side, and
direct
then.
they direct everything, right?
So
Like
what's the Securities and Exchange Commission of China? You probably don't
fuck
know.
all.
And what you just
No,
suggested is
it
governments
is.
play
It is fuck. Well, what happened to Jack Ma?
governments play
Jack
favoritism, right?
Ma,
That's what you're saying.
Jack Ma. Watch the video, okay?
Yeah.
Jack Ma didn't even say this much negative stuff about China, okay? And I watched people on both sides who said, "Oh, the Chinese government got rid of him, and the Chinese government didn't get rid of him." But man, it is a well known fact that after that, the next time he was seen, he was a school teacher in Japan. That's where he went, and now he's back though. He's back at being CEO of Alibaba. This was very recent. Like I'm talking about
They
less than a month ago.
disciplined him. They disciplined him.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
the last thing I want to see is the USA government putting Elon Musk in jail because he I don't know for whatever reason, and then like you don't know anything about it. Would nobody know? Like Jack Ma is not the entrepreneur. From everything I've seen about the guy, very motivated individual, and if his backstory is correct, a very highly respected individual. But I don't want to see that. Why did he leave? To me, he does not look like somebody who's just gonna leave his position. You built the business from zero to almost $1 trillion, and you're gonna leave it.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But
He's a teacher now.
yeah,
No
well,
way.
no. Now he's back to being CEO, right? But he's been gone for a while, right?
I'm just contrasting. I don't mean he's still
Yeah.
teacher right now, but like teacher compared to managing
Yeah,
billions
but
under
Jack Ma knows it himself too. Like, what did he say in the video? If I'm paraphrasing, obviously I haven't seen this in years, but he said China is very anti-business, and it's very
It-
true because when you don't allow free market,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
then you're not allowing anybody to flourish, right? I want to know that Ahmed, if I create a business today and my business is way smaller than the next guy, but even if they have government contracts, then I'm not going to get outbid because of the holy fact that the government's the best friends with this company. I want to know that if I have
Exactly.
that I have a competitive advantage because I'm smaller, I can work better. But if they just get all the funding and I get nothing, I can't do anything.
Well, there is very, very similar inadequacies in the U.S. framework because Nancy Pelosi exists.
No, but
What
there's
you're
always
bringing
problems
up
anywhere.
is what is fair between government allocation of funds when it comes to business, small business, big business. They should not prioritize one or the other. But the truth of the matter is, we live in a world that's supposedly it's
Very
fair in America.
yes,
It's not.
but
It's really not.
however,
It's
let me
you
ask you a
look at the
question. I'll
statistics.
tell you something. You make a very good point because there's flaws in both systems, right? Like in China,
Yeah,
I really would love to be the company that the government gives all the funding to because then you're
awesome.
success. But here's the thing:
Yeah,
there is no other
yeah.
country in the entire world that has made more amount of millionaires and billionaires than in the USA. They have made the most amount of wealth in any nation in any time in history for the most people. So people who are poor, people who are middle class, they have the opportunities. They might not have
What
a
if I
fair
told
game.
you?
They may not have a fair
What if
game,
I told you? Yeah, but
but
let's give it
the
more
opportunity is there.
nuance and depth.
Hmm.
Like the time span in which this happened over can be constricted or restricted. Like velocity versus like long term versus short term. Like in the short term, the 200 years, and that's the short term I'm implying. Sure, we'd have the most millionaires made out of America, but there's some truly there's repercussions. It's like if you were to take steroids, there's repercussions to get that speed up process. One of the things that I listen to from several, uh, high in academia and economics, professors or people that work at banks and so on, they say that quantitative easing, quantitative tightening, and reserve lending, the style of banking, is really not built for super long term without the boom and bust. George Soros explains this very, very well, and this boom bust is where either the people
We
who are
spoke about this,
financially
and I'm
educated,
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but China does that as well. That's not just a USA thing. China prints
yeah,
a
but
shit amount of money
they
too.
have to follow. We're talking about within the time span. There used to
No,
be
no, China prints a
different.
lot. China destroys its own currency just to make it cheaper for
Yeah,
you to manufacture there.
yeah.
Yeah, like they,
Is it
they do it as
follow,
well.
they're not the world reserve currency, and
Yeah, they are. They
everyone
don't
follows.
care. I agree with that. Yes, but yeah, like
Yeah,
Ahmed makes a very good point there as well, right? But it's still in just terms of business again. If you're able to, I'll just tell this right now. If you're gonna start a business and your friends, hey, you have a lot of good friends in government in China, make it in China because you'll become a multi-billion-dollar company real quick. But if you don't
you
have
could
any friends, then go to the USA. That's all I gotta say, or the UAE as well, right? Digs for some oil. That's
having
also a good way.
friends benefits regardless of where the hell you are. Having friends benefits.
Mhm.
Because connections are, I think, one of the things that people undermine is leveraging your social network. That's value.
Mhm.
Money's not the only form of value.
Mhm.
You might have $10 million worth in just connect. Just having one conversation with someone can change your life. Okay, maybe not one, but like several. In if you have a really good social network, your network is your net worth, and that I die by that sword.
All right, guys.
Would
Well,
you agree?
yes, but guys, we'll
Yeah,
speak more about personal connections. We're at 42 minutes. I didn't even see the time. So fantastic
that was
conversation.
fun. We
It's
enjoyed it.
always
Thank you.
fun. When is it not fun? So thank you guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
tuning in. Again, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. All right. We're very close. Only like 900. Oh no, 899 away. So let's make it happen. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and bye bye.